Stupid girl. I try to be mad, but my eyes betray me. Someone is in love, Mom giggles. Well, next thing I knew, she was in Bob's car riding with us and hanging out, going wherever we were going. I'd been trying to hold out and not catch feelings, hoping that she would wander off and just end up with like Zach already. This is torture. I'd be lying to myself if I said that I have been successful at not getting feelings. Sounds like she wants you. I'm not so sure. See, that's the thing. It's more complicated than that. You haven't heard the worst of it yet. I gripped at my head. Tell me. Bob asked her out to be his girlfriend and she said yes. Now she is always around. To make things worse, I don't think that she even likes Bob in that way. I think that she really likes me, but then again, maybe I'm all wrong. It's so weird. She doesn't seem to show him any affection, but she's his girlfriend. But she shows me affection, and I can see how this is going to cause problems. I don't like this, son. Sounds like she's tired of waiting and playing games. She may not be used to being resisted by a guy. For some, that's how you get 'em. What are you going to do? Remember when I was a kid and you used to tell me all the time to grow up to be a good man? Yes. It all became clear in that moment. I knew what I had to do to keep this from becoming messy. The thought hurt me deeply, but it felt right. I've decided to ditch them both. A good bro doesn't snake his friend's girl. I love them both, but I think it best if I just stay away from them. Let Bob be happy, I concluded with pain in my heart. It also became clear to me that I had fallen in love with Gretel. The day had been really dragging, and I ended up reading like 10 chapters out of the book of Psalms and spent a while in some prayer. There had been some things that I had been putting off for months and months, and I figured that this was a good time to take care of some things. Life had momentarily lost its color, and things were looking gray. Walking across the campus at the start of lunch, I moved with my head down. Reaching the crosswalk, I looked across the street and saw many of my friends laughing and playing hacky sack. I spotted Bob, and he was talking to a group off to the side, and he was rolling with laughter. Gretel was standing next to him, along with another girl by the name of Susan. I'd been seeing her around over the last week or so. She, it seemed, made friends with Bob and Gretel. I was on the outs and out of touch with the current events of their lives. It had been about a week or so since my talk with Mom, and I just kind of stopped hanging out with them. Good for Bob. He looked happy. He really was a good dude. I couldn't stand how I was feeling. I didn't want to think bad thoughts toward him. The heart can be so strange and deceitful, and the feelings that it has can be kind of poison. I was feeling bleak. Hitting the crosswalk button when the light changed, I went away from the hangout and into the deserted pay and play park. Well, it wasn't completely deserted. There was a young mother with a few small children there, and the kids were playing on the swings. Walking past them, I made my way onto the grassy field and moved all the way toward the edge. There were trees there that offered cool shade. Sitting alone, I opened up my backpack and pulled out my sack lunch and a notebook. I turned through the pages until I reached where I had left off and set my pen on top of it. Taking out my headphones, I pushed play on my Walkman. With a sandwich in one hand and a notebook in the other, I took one last look around and sighed. I was back to feeling lonely. It does not pay doing right and being a nice guy. It never has. The shortcuts are always so tempting to do wrong, to get yourself where you want to be faster. But it seems like you always pay in the end, going that way. Maybe I had the wrong attitude. It is always right doing right, even when you lose. You will win in the end. Maybe not in this life, but in the one to come. I felt lost. My pen began to move across the notebook page. I was going to start with the worst of the worst. That lunch break, I wrote about not knowing my father, and about how I'd been touched as a small child. My pen flew, and I felt all kinds of ugly things while writing it. How could this even help? This was pointless. I wrestled, but I got through it. The things that I wrote made me feel waves of shame. I was feeling pretty low. Right before lunch came to an end, I penned the words, "Fourth step," across the top of the page. That was what I discovered about Alcoholics Anonymous. There were a few books in the program. The 12-step book, for example, had work in it. This was one of the steps, and I disliked it very much, but I did it. The toughest was behind me. I'd write many things over the next few days in the park, and I avoided the hangout like the plague. Instead of taking rides home from Bob, I just started walking home again. I wanted my bro to be happy. This was a good thing, I kept saying inside my head. This was what Sam had been wanting me to do, and I did it. The relief of completing my fourth step only lasted 2 days. Now I was facing the fifth step. That would be to share what I had written with my sponsor, Sam. I was covered in shame, felt dirty, and I was nervous. Somehow, it was more than that, but there are no words to describe such sensations and feelings that flow from a human heart. To open up your closet and to look around at things you don't want to look at, and then bring them out into the light with a magnifying glass, and then actually share it with another person. To further the agony of it all by telling another person in detail about all those things. There are about 10,000 other things that I'd rather be doing at that moment, but there I was. Sam and I were standing near his van in the parking lot. A few people from the AA meeting walked by and said hello to us, and Sam waved. He put his hands in his pockets and looked relaxed. He had been my sponsor for 2 years, and we had grown close. He was a mentor to me. Now, I was about to share my most personal things with him. This was so stupid. Why did I even have to do this? Why did that girl come around? Why did I no longer have my best friend? Suddenly, I wish that I was at the beach for a session of night surfing. It was a special thing to do. No other surfers in the water, and you had all the waves to yourself. There was something eerie about it all. Mysterious creatures of the deep gliding under your board. You'd be swimming with the lions of the sea. There went my mind again, always wandering. Isaac, I just want to say that I'm proud of you. A lot of people get stuck on the fourth step and they never do it. It took you a while, but you got it done. Are you ready for the fifth? Yeah, I guess. I'm kind of nervous. There's nothing to be nervous about, Isaac. You can trust me. My shrink used to say that. Okay, where should we do this? Right here, right now. Here in the parking lot by the van? Sure. Sure. Now or never time, Sam smiled. You're right. This assignment sucked. Had a lot of time over the last week and a half. Crazy to think that I had been escaping all that I had on my mind by working on this. Wow, kid, how much did you write? I don't know. I think like 23 pages or so. Dang, you're a writer. This isn't normal? I asked. Mine was like 4 pages and not written in complete sentences, he chuckled. Aw man, this is too much. Now I feel stupid. No, Isaac, lighten up. It'll be okay. Only trying to use a little humor is all. I know that the fourth and fifth steps are the hardest ones. I'm here for you. You can trust me. Are you ready? Let's get this done and over with. Don't overthink it. You're right at the door. Just walk through it. This is a very healthy thing that you're doing. Most never do something like this during their lifetime. Time to let go of some things. Okay, here goes. I took a breath while looking over the first notebook page. My legs were shaking. Be with me, Father. I read to Sam all that I had written, and it took me 30 minutes to get through it all. I felt vulnerable, and he said nothing, but only nodded as I read. Afterward, he gave me a hug. He was like a relative to me or something. The man actually cared about me, and he'd become like a father figure. Been through some things, haven't you, kid? Yeah. You did good, real good. I know that took some guts to read out loud. You know, Sam, I haven't known you that long, but you know me better than my own father does, I said to him with feeling. It was this indescribable, deep pain. A hurt look crossed over Sam's face. His loss, kid, he gripped my shoulder. It's time he'll never get back. Well, what do you say we go ahead and burn that notebook now? Sam said and reached into his van. He pulled out a small metal trash can a moment later. Right here? I asked. Should we fly to Mount Olympus to burn it? Yeah, right here, he grinned. Fire! Are you threatening me? I said in a funny voice. All right, Beavis, hand me that there notebook that you have in your hand. I handed it to him, and without wasting any time, he flicked his lighter and held the corner of it over the flame. A few moments later, it catches, and he tosses it into the can. Is that part of the fifth step? What? He asked. You know, burning what the person wrote? No, but this notebook, it needs to be burned. You humble me, kid. I remember doing my fourth step and being so afraid to share it with my sponsor, like it was the toughest thing in the world to do. I had to tell him all the things that I did when I was addicted to crack. I was a functioning addict, Isaac. A high paying career, a wife and a kid, and addicted to one of the most ugly drugs on the planet. I did some things that I'm not proud of. It was difficult telling the things that I had done out loud. Now, I take you through the steps, and hearing all that you wrote humbles me. I'm lucky to know you. Have hope, Isaac. I know you went through some rough things, and you're having a tough time at school, but God isn't done with you. He's just getting started. Take it from an awful heathen knucklehead. Have hope in life, Isaac. Thanks, Sam. That was hard. You were brave. You just did what most are not willing or brave enough to do. There is power in this kind of stuff, and this program works if you work it. You have grown so much since that angry kid I met 2 years ago, and it has been a privilege watching it.